In this video, I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot a flow using some of the actions available within Microsoft Flow itself. Now, this is just a simple scenario. Say, take for example, if you're building a flow for any of the logic, and if the flow grows beyond like a readable capacity. So take for example, this is a complex flow. Okay, now let's assume, say, let me do one thing. Let me make it more complex. So I'll just say copy to my clipboard, and then I'll add an action, and I will, from my clipboard, I'll just paste in some actions over here. Okay, so I'm adding this compose, and then I'm adding another action from the clipboard. So I'll add send an email, and let's assume that this flow is very complex, like it has all the condition, it has parallel branches running, and maybe I'll add some parallel branch over here as well. Okay, so let me add a parallel branch, and this will look a bit complicated. Okay, so let me add this compose action, let me add this compose action over here. And this flow, like, although this flow doesn't make any sense, but I'm just demonstrating it to you how, if you are building some flow and then if you want to troubleshoot, then how do you troubleshoot? Okay, now if you just want to troubleshoot, say, some of the part, like say here, say, take for example, if you just want to execute first two actions, and does not want to execute other actions, so what are the different ways through which you can do? Now, one way what you can do is, you can put all the other complex thing in one condition. Okay, so here, if you see this flow, let me save this flow, and says compose input is required. So this one, yes, I'll just put something here. Yep, and this is the flow. Okay, so what if I just want to run the first two part, okay, and not the other flow whenever I do a run? Okay, so there are multiple ways to achieve this. So let me first save this, and I'll just go back once it saves. Yeah, and I'll just show you right from the start, like, okay, this is the flow and this is the complex flow which you want to troubleshoot. If you click on edit, this is how the flow will look like in a new designer. Okay, now this is that complexity. What if you want to maybe just run first two actions and not the other action? So one of the way what you can do is you can click on the step, after the step, if you don't want anything to get executed, then you can click on plus and just click on add an action, and just type terminate. Okay, so if you use a terminate action, okay, then what it does is it will tell you that I will terminate the flow after this. So none of the action will get executed after this terminate action. And what status do you want when you see the flow run? Do you want it to be a failed state, or maybe a cancel state, or maybe succeeded? I'll pick succeeded. So that means even if the half of the flow runs or the top three component runs, still it will call this flow as success. Okay, so let me show you that in action. So if I click on save, then once it saves, I'll just try to run this. Okay, so the flow is ready to go. Now we have one, two, three action. If I click on test, say test manually, click test, and I'll run the flow. That says it is succeeded. Okay, uh, so you'll see here the first four box has a tick in it. Okay, and it runs the first part, second part, third part. But if you see the terminate part, what it does is, like, it will tell you that when it was started, when it was ended, and the status is succeeded. So if you go and see the flow run, so if I just go back and see the flow run, although if the flow complete flow has not been executed, still it will mark it as test as succeeded. Okay, so if I click on edit again, and let me show you by running this in the old interface as well. Okay, so you just edit your flow, and then you navigate to the old interface. If I click on new designer, untick that, save and switch. Yep. So this is the old interface. Uh, Again, I think it is switch to the new designer. So let me again go back and select the old interface. Yep. So here we have added a terminate action, and if we run it from here, if I click on manually, click on test, then it will only execute the actions before the terminate action, and none of the action after terminate will get executed, right? So you say your flow has ran successfully, and it will just put a three or four ticks on the top three components. So this is like a useful tip whereby if you want to troubleshoot a very complex flow, and if you are confident that if you want to run some top three components or any component which is on the first top layer, then make use of terminate action. There are other alternative ways as well. Like you can use a condition. You can say if one equal to one or if one equal to two, then you can run that parallel branch and then not execute the other part. That's also one of the way. But then instead of using that, terminate is much more easier and quicker. So that's it, folks. This is how you basically troubleshoot a complex flow using terminate action.